All right, let's do some translating. Look at that first one. Look at number 1 right there. Savannah, what is these symbols, what does that mean in English?
Line.
Name the line. Line.
Line empty.
Perfect. That is math translated into English. We're going to skip number 2 for a second because I haven't really talked about that one. Let's do Jessica, number 3. What is that in English? Say it again. Starts with an R. Ray. Perfect. Ding, 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 ding. Very good. Deshang, number 4. Starts with an S. Don't tell him. Did you hear that? Segment. HV. Okay. Let's get a little tougher. Nate, number 5. It's a whole sentence. Wait. Ding, 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 ding. Line GH is parallel to line IJ. Very good. Okay. Elijah, number 6. Right here. Ooh, help him out. What does that mean? Congruent to? Yes! Segment OK is congruent to segment RA. All right, and then the last one on this one, Chris.
Line ME is perpendicular to line YU.
Perfect! Me is perpendicular to you. Ha, ha, ha. Line ME is perpendicular to line YU. Okay, so that's just a little bit of math language. All right, I'm going to show you a quick video, and that's going to be our intro into today's lesson. Are you ready? It's a commercial from DirecTV.
When you wait forever for the cable guy, you get bored. When you get bored, you start staring out windows. When you start staring out windows, you see things you shouldn't see. When you see things you shouldn't see, you need to vanish. When you need to vanish, you fake your own death. When you fake your own death, you dye your eyebrows. And when you dye your eyebrows, you attend your own funeral as a guy named Phil Shifley. Don't attend your own funeral as a guy named Phil Shifley. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Okay, so do you think I showed that to you so you would all go home and get DirecTV? No. I showed it to you because every sentence that he said in that commercial was called a conditional. If you're bored, then you will stare out the window. If you stare out the window, then you'll see things you shouldn't see. If you see things you shouldn't see, blah, 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 then you'll attend your own funeral as a man named Fred Shifley. Right? Okay, so those were if-then statements, and that's what we're talking about today. Dun-da-da-da, a conditional. It is an if-then statement. Doesn't get much easier than that. Are you in your notes right now? A conditional. See where it says an if-then statement? Cool. All right. If you use your cell phone in class, oh, this happened a few seconds ago, then it will be taken away. If-then. Consequences, right? Here's another little cartoon. If I do my homework, then I'll get good grades. If I get good grades, you'll send me to college. If I go to college, I'll graduate and get a job. If I get a job, I might get fired. If I get fired, I could go bankrupt and lose everything, and that's why I didn't do my homework. Are you going to tell your teacher that next time you don't do your homework? Or your mom? All right. So every conditional has 2 parts. It has a hypothesis and a conclusion. Does this kind of sound like science now?
Yeah.
Do you make hypotheses in science? You should be filling this out in your notes. You need to write the word hypothesis and the word conclusion. The part that follows the if is the hypothesis, and the part that follows the then is the conclusion. So the hypothesis is you use your cell phone in class. The conclusion is it will be taken away. Hypothesis, conclusion. Very easy.
Using that example.
Oh, sorry. It's going to be on example on all the slides. I'm sorry.
Really?
If it is cloudy, then it will rain. Because it's probably going to rain today, right? So the hypothesis is it's cloudy. The conclusion is it's going to rain. Quite possibly. It's in the forecast. Who knows? All right, let's see if we can sort these. I need someone to come to the board and drag one of these that's a hypothesis to the hypothesis column, and then find the conclusion that goes with it and drag it to the conclusion column. Like this, you could drag these little segments. Who would like to do that first? You go first, you go second, okay? Savannah and Ruthie. If points A, B, and C lie on the same line, then they are collinear. Perfect. Thank you. Uh-oh, there's some algebra in there. Uh-oh. Is that okay?
We just did this one.
Yeah, just do whichever one you feel comfortable with. If two coplanar lines never intersect, then they are parallel. Go ahead, yeah. And then no one can volunteer for the last one because it's going to be just whatever's left. If x plus 7 equals 10, then 10 minus 7, because the opposite of plus is minus. 10 minus 7. What plus 7 equals 10? What can you add to 7 to get 10?
3.
Yeah, so that's the conclusion. Very good. I know, I was being so tricky. We haven't done solving for x yet in this class. Beautiful, and then so what would be left? If x minus 7 equals 10, then x is 17. We get the idea. We get what a hypothesis is and what a conclusion is. So we're going to move on. The next thing is called truth value. Find that on your notes. What does it say? To show that it's true, you have to show every time the hypothesis is true. The conclusion is true. We're trying to prove it true first. So look. True, true, true. If you want to prove something's true, then every time the hypothesis happens, the conclusion has to happen. So it's very hard to prove something true. We don't do it very often. What's way easier is to prove something false. Way easier. What do you have to do to prove something is false? Only one case has to be proven false. So write the word one in all caps, only one case. And when you do prove it false, it's called a counterexample. Very good. Write that word, counterexample. That's my favorite part of this lesson, are counterexamples. Y'all probably love to prove things false, to argue. It's kind of like arguing. You can get really good at arguing if you know your logic. Okay, what in the world is a counterexample? A counterexample makes the hypothesis true and the conclusion false. It turns that sentence into a liar. The beginning is all true, everything's roses, and then the conclusion is, boom, false. And so that makes the sentence into a liar. So here's an example. If you use your cell phone in class, I bet someone touched their cell phone in class today and I didn't see it. So that just proved my sentence false. You used your cell phone in class, check, but the teacher did not take it away. Because I can't see everything, and believe it or not, I don't have eyes in the back of my head. So, if you can find one time that it didn't happen, then your whole statement is false. It loses its validity. Okay. Ooh, this is fun. Are you a counterexample? I'm going to reveal a statement, and if you think you prove that statement false, if you make the hypothesis true and the conclusion false, I want you to stand up. Here's the first statement. If you are a Texan, then you were born in Houston. Stand up if you're a counterexample.
Wait, okay, say
It's right here. If you're a Texan.
no.
Oh, counterexample makes the hypothesis true and the conclusion false.
Oh, wait, no.
Stand up. Don't just raise your hand. Where were you born? Sit down. Where were you born? Houston. Sit down. Where were you born? Sit down. I'm a counterexample. Do we not have any? If you are a Texan, so you have to be born in Texas, but not born in Houston.
never mind.
Was anyone born in Texas but not born in Houston? I was born in Dallas, so I'm a counterexample. Yes, ma'am.
I consider myself a Texan.
Probably. You're an adopted Texan. But to be called a Texan, you have to be born here. It's okay. It's okay. Let's move on. Don't look at me like that. If you're a girl, then you have blonde hair. Who's a counterexample? Who proves that wrong? Stand up if you prove it wrong. All of the girls in this class should be standing. To be a counterexample, you have to be a girl. Check. Are y'all all girls?
No.
Yes. Then you have to not have blonde hair. Do not have blonde hair. Check. That's how you're a counterexample. You can sit down. Would a boy stand up? Would they be a counterexample? No, because you have to prove the hypothesis true and the conclusion false. Let's try another one. If you play video games, then you have an Xbox. Who's a counterexample to that?
Oh, yeah.
If you play video games, then you have an Xbox. What do you play video games on? PS4? PS3? Wii. These guys they do play video games, but they do not own an Xbox. Does that make sense? Would you stand up if you just didn't play video games? No, you would not be a true counterexample. Last one. If you're in geometry, then you love math. Don't make me cry! Don't make me cry!
Oh, no.
So if you're standing, that means yes, you're in geometry, but no, you don't love math. That means you're a counterexample. Okay, I hope that helped you understand what counterexample is a little bit better. All right, we're going to take this sentence and we're going to dissect it. Can someone read the sentence out loud? Jacob, go.
It's too light.
Well, then read it off your paper.
Oh.
If today
is not a weekday, then it is Saturday.
If today is not a weekday, then it is Saturday. Who am I going to call on next? Jared, what is the hypothesis? Very good, but it's what comes after the if, so write it down. Today is not a weekday. Oh, I put 3 E's on there. Awesome. Today is not a weekday. Can I get y'all? No. Nate, what's the conclusion? It is Saturday. It is Saturday. We don't use the if or the then when we're writing hypotheses and conclusions. Ooh, what's the truth value? We need to decide if that is true or false. Thumbs up if you think it's true. Thumbs down if you think it's false.
What?
Go. That sentence. This sentence.
Oh.
Is it true or false? False is the correct answer. Because, you just found the counterexample. The counterexample is Sunday. Sunday is not a weekday. Do you agree? But is Sunday Saturday?
No.
No. So we made this true and we made that false. The beginning true and the end false. That is a counterexample. So our statement is now false. It's over. All right. New word. We have lots of C words today. Conditional, counterexample, converse. When you hear the word converse, I want you to think reverse. Converse, reverse, converse, reverse. What do you think we're going to be doing? Reversing the hypothesis with the...
Conclusion.
They're going to trade places, like Parent Trap. They're going to trade places. All right, so if your cell phone is okay, so if you use your cell phone, then it will be taken away, right?
Yeah.
If your cell phone was taken away, then you used it in class. You're switching the hypothesis and conclusion. Did y'all fill it in? What word did it want you to put? Converse. Switches the hypothesis and the conclusion. Those are the words you're writing. They trade places. If it is cloudy, then it will rain. The converse is, if it rained, then it was cloudy. They just switched places. A negation. We don't have to talk about this a whole lot, but the negation, is this even on your sheet? I don't think it is. I don't think it made it. Is it? It is. Okay. Negation is just when you say the word not. So, if I am a girl, then I have blonde hair. If I am not a girl, then I don't have blonde hair. It's really just adding the word not. That's what a negation is. And it has the opposite truth value. I think that's the word you write in the blank. The opposite truth value. Cool. Inverse. An inverse is when you put not, when you negate the hypothesis and the conclusion, when you put not and not. So if you use your cell phone in class, then it will be taken away. If you do not use your cell phone in class, then it will not be taken away. You just put a not and a not. This is logic. We're learning logic. Isn't it weird to be learning logic in geometry? You're like, this is not math. This is English. Okay, moving on. Oh my goodness, another C word. Contrapositive. The contrapositive, oh my goodness. It switches the hypothesis and conclusion, and it negates both. So not only do they have to trade places, but you also have to put a not in front of both of them. If you use your cell phone in class, then it will be taken away. If your cell phone is not taken away, then you did not use it in class. That one's the most work. Contrapositive is the most work. Okay. So now we're going to practice with this sentence. If lines do not intersect, then they are parallel. Whew. I want everyone to underline the hypothesis once and underline the conclusion twice. That way we don't get them mixed up. I want you to put an H and I want you to put a C. Let's write the converse. What were you supposed to think of when you hear converse? Converse, reverse. Converse, reverse. We want to reverse the hypothesis and the conclusion. So I'm going to put if.
They are parallel.
Good. If, now let's write the conclusion. If they are, and I'm going to cheat, I'm going to use a symbol. If they are parallel, I'm not writing that word out, comma, then they do not intersect. You can put lines, do not intersect, or they, it doesn't matter to me. Then they do not, I didn't even put space there, intersect. Cool. That's how you do a converse. Not too tricky, right? Ooh, inverse. Go look at your notes. It tells you what to do. What do you do for inverse? You put a not in a not. Are you ready? Uh-oh, wait a minute. If lines do not intersect. So that would mean I would put if lines do not intersect. What's a not?
You just cross it out.
It's a double negative, so it's a do, right? So the opposite of them not intersecting is them intersecting. If lines do intersect, now we have to negate the conclusion as well. Then they are not parallel. I'm just going to write not parallel to save room. That's what an inverse is. You put a not. Are you ready for the toughest one? If you can do this one, you can do it all. Contrapositive. They're going to trade places, and we're going to do our nots. So ready? We're going to put if. We're going to grab the conclusion, and we're going to put not. What's the conclusion?
If they are not parallel,
Good.
they do intersect.
If they are not parallel, I just put if not parallel. The opposite of not intersecting is intersecting. So if they're not parallel, then they do intersect. And that is as hard as it can possibly get. So it can only get easier from there. Do we have more, or is that the end?
Yeah, more of that, but
That's another day. Woohoo! Okay, let's just do some more counterexamples because they're way fun, and then we'll be done. If I stay home, I don't like that one, actually. If I have a pet, then I have a dog. What's a counterexample to that?
what I have,
Cat.
yeah.
Do you see how a counterexample is just one word? Did I write a whole sentence? No. A counterexample, you don't need to write a sentence. It's simply a word. Let's see if, oh. You make this true and this false. So I want you to name a pet, and I don't want it to be a dog. Give me an example. A rat. Okay. A bat. I haven't heard of very many pet bats, but okay. A fish. Oh. Let's try this one. I don't know if you know much about. People use this in the real world. It's how you argue things. It's how lawyers use this. Lawyers to argue cases. If an odd number is less than 10, okay, so it needs to be odd and it needs to be less than 10, then it is prime. Do you know one? 9. Is 9 odd? Yes. Is 9 less than 10? Yes. Is 9 prime? You might not remember what prime is. Prime means it's not divisible by anything. Is 9 divisible by something? 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 9 is a correct answer. If you say 5, 5 proves it true because 5 is prime. 5 makes this true, and this true. We don't want it all to be true. We want the beginning to be true and the end to be false. Let's try this one. If it is even, then it's divisible by 4. I'm going to let someone else answer. I want it to be even, but I don't want it to be divisible by 4. 2. 8 is divisible by 4, so we don't want to choose that one. Is 2 even? Yes. Is 2 divisible by 4? Nope, so that's a great answer. 6 is a great answer. Anything else? 10. Awesome. We could keep going for a long time. Those are all great answers. Very good. That's it. That's all, folks. We are done.
Do we turn this